So I work with tons of bikini competitors, and most of them are doing it wrong when it comes to off season. Before I delve into this, I just want to mention I'm really proud of this. All 5 of my Glute Squad members who competed in WBFF this year as amateurs won their pro card on their very first show. And I'd like to think that the reason why that happened is because we train so hard. We train harder than the competition. A lot of these competitors don't really know what they're doing when it comes to year-round training. So I don't even like the term off-season. If you're a bodybuilder, you're always on. And yes, if you're a bikini competitor, you're a bodybuilder. You're always on. It's year-round, you know? Bodybuilding is year-round. Contest prep is year-round. I don't like this whole mindset like, oh, it's contest prep, I need to get serious. You should be training hard year-round. The process of laying down muscle tissue, stimulating growth is very hard. It's very hard to change your physique. You don't have time to waste. So yes, contest prep is year-round, bodybuilding is year-round. Don't think of it like, oh, I only gotta be on for these 12 weeks or these 16 weeks and the rest of the year I can screw off. No, it doesn't work that way. During your off season, you need to be gaining strength. If you go step on stage and you're the same strength as you were the year before, why would you look any different? Off season is called improvement season. Well, why would you improve on stage if you didn't improve your strength during the off season? So here's what I recommend. All right, you just finish up a show, you're starving, you're tired, you're exhausted. Have a couple of days where you eat more. Now, I don't want you gaining 15 pounds over the next, few days, but definitely up your calories, indulge in some treats. And then that first week after your show, don't go heavy, don't do a lot of compound lifts. Stick mostly to bodybuilding circuits and single joint stuff and high reps. Just go to the gym, get a decent pump, don't go to failure. Give yourself a week of kind of deloading and to put some weight back on. And then the next week, bam, you're right back at it. You increase your calories, and with the increased calories, strength goes up, but don't overdo it on calories. I recommend that my competitors only gain around 10% of body weight during the off season above their stage weight. So for example, a 130-pound competitor would only gain 13 pounds during the off season. They wouldn't gain 30 pounds. They don't need to gain 20 pounds. You gain too much fat, it's hard to lose. More calories does not equal more results with regards to muscle building. All right, so you need to chase strength goals. For example, with my WBFF girls, they need quads. I love that organization because you can squat, you can lunge, you can have quads, whereas NPC and IFBB, you can't have as big a quads. So I like to tell my girls, I want you squatting 225 for 10 reps below parallel. Now, it depends on what they weigh, but that's a really tough goal. A couple of my clients have started that, they got 3 reps. I want them getting 10 reps in about 2 months. I give them hip thrust goals. I give them squat goals. I give them targets on all the big lifts, and I want them getting stronger. I want their absolute strength going up. Now, your calories will go up. Your protein can stay the same, or it can even go down a little bit during off season. Contrary to what most people think, when you're eating more calories, you don't quite need as much protein as you do during your prep phase or while you're cutting. When you're cutting, protein goes up a little bit. But make no mistake about it, you train hard year round. You train hard as year round. And the training doesn't change much. What builds muscle best in a surplus maintains muscle best in a deficit. I'm gonna say that again. The methods that cause you to build muscle best while you're eating a lot are the same methods that are gonna cause you to retain muscle best when you're dieting down and cutting your calories. Many of my competitors, they do it wrong. And that's what prompted me to make this video. I don't like this mindset of, oh, it's prep mode, I'm serious now. I'm getting serious because now I'm in prep mode, and the whole rest of the year they screw up. That's not enough time to see improvements. Say you compete once or twice a year and you're only serious for those 12 weeks or 16 weeks, what about the other weeks of the year? Training them is fun when they do it this way. Because they're kind of detrained when they come to me, they will build a lot of strength during their prep. Like some of my competitors will set all-time PRs during peak week. Like the Monday before their show, they're setting a squat PR or a hip thrust PR. Well, if you do things right, that shouldn't happen. Your absolute strength should peak right before you start cutting. At the end of your off season is when you should be the strongest, the absolute strongest on all your lifts, meaning you should be squatting the most weight you've ever squatted, hip thrusting, benching, military pressing, pull downs. All these lifts should be at their all-time peak right before you start cutting. Now, your relative strength should peak right before you step on stage. So like the week before peak week, that's when you should hit an all-time high on relative strength, meaning your strength divided by body weight. Now, what about cardio? You don't want to do too much cardio during the off season. You want to save that for when you're trying to lose fat. You want to build a base during off season that's easy to maintain and it's easy to ramp up from. If you're doing 2-a-days, 2 strength training sessions a day, 6 days a week, and an hour of cardio each day, you're training 3 hours a day during the off season, then what the hell are you gonna do as you start prepping? You have no place to go. You're already up here. You're already at your ceiling. You want your baseline to be down here, you know? 4 to 5 hour-and-a-half long workouts per week and minimal cardio. For some people, no cardio. For others, maybe 3 30-minute sessions a week, but you don't have to be doing an hour a day of cardio during your off season. You know, an hour of cardio might burn 300 calories. You could address that by just not eating quite as much. You wanna save the cardio for when it gets really hard to lose fat, and it's not even for the calories that it burns, it's more for staving off your hunger. It's more for like distracting you so you don't eat, and maybe causing you to not eat quite as much because of that interaction effect it has with your appetite hormone. So cardio is like this during the off season, then it goes like this during prep. And again, most of your PRs should be the month before you start to prep, your personal records, your all-time absolute personal records, the most weight you've ever lifted. The only PRs that you might set during peak week should be body weight exercises, you know? Because you're at a really low body weight, you might actually hit your first body weight Nordic ham curl where you come all the way down and come all the way up during peak week. Or you might set a rep record with chin-ups, you know? Maybe you get 12 chin-ups for the first time during peak week because you're so lean, you're so light. But your squat, your hip thrust, you know, your military press will necessarily go down during prep because you're losing weight. You're gonna lose a little bit of muscle. Usually you don't keep all of your muscle. If you lose 15 pounds, ideally, all 15 pounds would be fat, but in the real world, you tend to lose, you know, 12 pounds of fat and 3 pounds of muscle. You also just don't have as much energy to train hard, and your hormones are not optimal. Because you're depleted, you're dieted down. As far as diet, right after the show is concerned, you can reverse diet, that's totally fine. I like reverse dieting for many people, or you could just go right back to maintenance. Either one works. People assume that you have to reverse diet. No, you don't. You could just go right back to maintenance. The problem is some people have a hard time keeping it at maintenance, so they do better when you reverse diet out of the show and gradually increase calories. The times where you really want to go right back to maintenance though is if you're really low in body fat. You know, if you're a female and you're 12% body fat, then I would suggest going right back to maintenance. You don't need to build slowly out of your competition. But the main thing is you gotta train hard year round. After your show, take a week to deload. Have some fun in the gym, maybe only go to the gym 3 times, get your energy back, get your mindset right, and the very next week, it's building season. You are building muscle, and to build muscle, you gotta gain strength. Now for some competitors, especially with, you know, IFBB, with the pros, you can't gain a lot of muscle in your upper body, or you might not be able to train your quads. You can't do squats or lunges because you don't want your quads getting too big, but that applies to the very elite. The 90% of competitors who need to build muscle to get up to elite status should not be following the exact same methods as the people who are already at the top. Those people at the top hammered away at their squats. They hammered away at military press. They got strong at some point, and now they've earned the right to not train those muscles hard enough. And you do need to train the whole body. You need to get lean. How are you gonna get lean if you're only training legs, half of your body? You gotta train the whole body, get strong, build your resting metabolic rate up where you have a lot of muscle, you have a lot of energy. You want your calories to be up here when you start prep, so you have a big margin to drop. Off season, you're eating 1,400 calories and doing an hour of cardio a day. Where do you start during prep? You have nowhere to go. So I want to conclude by saying, just look at what the bodybuilders used to do, you know? They'd gain a lot of weight during the off season, but it'd be a lot of muscle. Most of them wouldn't gain too much fat. They'd put on a lot of size, but they'd be strong as hell. Then they'd cut down. Now, the bikini competitors don't need to follow those same methods as the men because they're different standards and different body parts that need to be muscular. For example, the bodybuilders don't train their glutes much, whereas bikini competitors, that's the main thing they need to train is glutes. But you get the point. Bodybuilding is year-round, and contest prep starts the week after your show. I hope that helps. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you hit a like, make sure you give it the thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I'm gonna try to be consistent from here on out. I'm taking a little break, but I'm back for now. And if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know in the comments section.
Ready for this!
If you like what you saw in this video and you want to train under my system and principles, then I invite you to click on the link below and subscribe to Booty by Brett and join the thousands of other happy members who are seeing amazing results.